Have you ever wondered why clarity feels like a distant memory? What if the greatest threat to your mind isn't out there, but already inside your pocket? And what if ancient warriors had already mastered the very weapon you keep ignoring, your focus? Most people will never discover who they truly are, not because they can't, but because they're too distracted watching others live. Every scroll, every ping, every so-called harmless distraction isn't just stealing your time, it's hijacking your consciousness. This isn't background noise, it's a mental battleground. And your attention. That's the prize. Today's world is built to keep you scattered, reactive, and mentally soft. But here's the cold truth. Self-focus is a superpower. The moment you learn how to direct your own attention, you begin to reclaim your mind. This isn't just motivational talk or surface-level advice. This is timeless wisdom, sharpened by the harsh realities of today's psychological warfare. The Stoics practiced it daily. Dark psychology confirms it still works. And now, it's your turn to learn how to wield it. You're not just here to survive the noise, you're here to weaponize your mind. Let's start at the beginning. The noise of the modern world. We are living in the loudest era in human history. Attention spans are shrinking, not because people are weak or lazy, but because everything around them is engineered to tear their focus apart. Social media, streaming platforms, endless notifications, these aren't just neutral tools, they're meticulously designed traps, baited with novelty, powered by algorithms, and fueled by your emotions. You think you're checking your phone just for a second, and before you know it, 45 minutes have vanished. But what did you gain? Did it make you better, sharper, stronger? For most, the answer is no. The average mind today is so overstimulated, it's forgotten what real clarity even feels like. And that's exactly the point, because a distracted person is easier to manipulate. Stoicism doesn't just tell you to ignore the noise. It teaches you to recognize it for what it really is, not entertainment, but erosion. Every moment you surrender to distraction is a piece of yourself being chipped away. Your mind deserves better than that. Your future demands better than that. So if you're tired of being pulled in every direction, remember this. Silence builds strength. Type it, feel it, live it. Next, let's break the illusion and uncover the truth behind what self-focus really means. Earlier, we uncovered the truth about the mental noise around us, the engineered chaos designed to pull us away from clarity. Now, let's go deeper, because escaping the noise is just the beginning. The real challenge? Taking back control of your own mind. Most people believe they're thinking independently, but in reality, they're just recycling thoughts, regurgitating what they've seen online, heard in passing, or absorbed unconsciously. That's not real thinking. That's programming. It's autopilot. It's living life based on someone else's script. True self-focus begins when you reclaim your mental sovereignty, and that starts with radical awareness, noticing your own thoughts, emotions, and urges without rushing to label or suppress them. You observe, you understand, and only then do you direct. That's the Stoic way. It's not about reacting to every comment, every headline, every notification like a puppet on a string. It's about choosing your responses with clarity and intention. A focused mind isn't just one that avoids distraction. It's one that filters reality, deciding what's worth energy and what's not. When you embrace self-focus, you stop trying to fix the world and start mastering the only battlefield that truly matters, your own psychology. And here's the twist. Self-focus isn't passive. It's active. It's fierce. Not in the way of anger or aggression, but in the way of relentless discipline. Every time you say no to a distraction, you're saying yes to something higher. Every time you turn inward instead of outward, you sharpen your internal edge. You refine the one tool that shapes your entire experience, your mind. Because let's be clear, your mind is a weapon. And if you don't train it, someone else will. Type it, speak it, believe it. I lead my mind. I don't follow the world. And if you've made that decision, if you're ready to take full control, then stay with me, because this is just the beginning. Up next, we explore the Stoic lens, how the greatest minds in history turned self-focus into a way of life. Previously, we explored how the Stoics mastered the art of internal discipline, how they focused their minds not by avoiding emotion, but by refusing to be ruled by it. That clarity in chaos, that's where true power begins. Imagine a mind that stays still, even in the middle of a storm. That kind of mental stillness is rare. And in a world full of chaos, rare is powerful. The Stoics weren't cold or detached. They felt deeply, but they weren't enslaved by those feelings. They didn't suppress their emotions. They simply refused to let emotions drive the ship. Instead, they trained their minds to lock on to what they could control, their thoughts, their actions, their inner world. Everything else, they let it go. That discipline, that edge, is something most people never build. But if you're watching this and you feel tired of being scattered, distracted, pulled in 100 directions, good. That's a sign you're waking up. Awareness always comes before mastery. If you're ready to embrace that mindset, say it out loud or type it in, calm is my power. Because now we're stepping into even deeper waters, the dark psychology of distraction. Here's the part that most people don't see. Your inability to focus isn't just a personal weakness. It's been engineered. Every app, every platform, every shiny dopamine hit is built on one goal: behavioral manipulation. And this is where dark psychology takes the wheel. These systems don't just crave your attention. They're designed to capture your addiction. Why? Because attention equals revenue. Tension equals the longer you stay, the more they earn. If they can keep you emotionally charged, overstimulated, and always craving that next hit of validation, they don't just have your time, they have your mind. They study your clicks, your fears, your patterns. Then they feed you content that keeps you comparing, doubting, buying, scrolling. It becomes a psychological trap. You feel uncomfortable, maybe bored, maybe insecure. And instead of confronting that feeling, you escape. You numb, you swipe, you surrender. And what you're actually doing is training your mind to run away from focus. That's how they win. And how you quietly lose your time, your energy, your sense of self. The Stoics saw this trap coming centuries ago, long before algorithms or smartphones. Epictetus once said, if someone handed over your body to a stranger, you'd be outraged. So why do you hand over your mind to anyone who comes along? That hits harder today than ever, because every time you let the world decide what you focus on, you give away the most valuable thing you own, your mental sovereignty. But the good news, you can take it back. you can choose to stop reacting. You can train yourself to see the manipulation and respond with discipline instead. That moment when you shift from being a consumer to becoming a commander of your own mind is everything. If you're ready to stop being programmed and start programming yourself, type it with conviction. I am the master of my mind. Say it like you own it. Next, we'll dive into exactly how you begin that process, how the Stoic lens reshapes not just how you think, but how you live. Previously, we uncovered how dark psychology quietly hijacks your attention and how reclaiming it, your mind starts with choosing awareness over autopilot. Now, let's unlock one of the most overlooked tools in the Stoic arsenal: silence. Number 5, the hidden power in silence. Silence, the very thing most people avoid, is the place where the real transformation begins. Sounds ironic, right? But here's the paradox. What we fear in silence is often exactly what we need to confront. Because once the noise fades, the screens go dark and the distractions fall away. What's left? You, your thoughts, your fears, your uncensored inner dialogue. Most people can't sit with that, not because they're weak, but because they were never taught how. They reach for distractions the moment it gets quiet, as if silence itself is a threat. But the Stoics knew better. They practiced solitude intentionally. Daily reflection, silent observation, internal tuning. They didn't just tolerate silence, they chased it, because in silence they found their edge. Without distractions, they met the unfiltered version of themselves, the version that wasn't shaped by likes, comments, or expectations. And in that clarity, they made decisions that changed the course of empires. Now imagine what you could do with that kind of clarity in your own life. What moves could you make if your thoughts were crystal clear, not cluttered? What would happen if you actually heard your instincts? Modern society labels silence as boring, but that boredom, that's just your brain detoxing. It's the withdrawal symptom from a life overstimulated. And if you sit through it just a little longer, something incredible starts to happen. You begin to hear your real thoughts. Your perception sharpens, your focus deepens. You stop reacting to the world and start responding with originality. That space of clarity, that's rare. And remember, rare always wins. If you're beginning to feel that shift, if you're starting to understand the value of being alone with your mind, type it in. My silence is strategic. Because in a world addicted to noise, silence isn't just peace, it's rebellion. And rebellion, when grounded in clarity, is power. Now let's take this even further. Number 6, control what you can. Ignore what you can't. There's a mental filter that the Stoics swore by, a single question that, when asked with honesty and consistency, can change how you experience everything. Is this within my control? Just 7 words. Yet they can save you years of unnecessary stress, pain, and wasted energy. Let's now break that down through the eyes of someone who knew struggle intimately. Previously, we uncovered one of the Stoics' sharpest mental tools, a single question. Is this within my control? That filter alone has the power to transform how you handle nearly everything in life. Now, let's take that principle and apply it to the chaos of the modern world. There are only two categories that truly exist in life: what you can control and what you can't. Everything else is just noise, illusions your ego tries to wrestle with in a desperate attempt to feel secure. Take a step back and really look around. Today, people are drowning in anxiety, frustration, and fear. But not because they're weak. It's because their minds are constantly fixated on things that are completely out of their control. The algorithm, the economy, other people's opinions, what went wrong yesterday, or what might go wrong tomorrow. None of that belongs to them yet. It drains them daily. That's where self-focus flips the entire script. When you narrow your attention to the things you can control, your effort, your mindset, your thoughts, your discipline, you become mentally bulletproof. You stop being reactive to drama, to trends, to emotional manipulation. While others chase chaos, you remain anchored. That's Stoic strength. And this mindset, it's not about being cold or emotionless. It's about being clear. It's about becoming like a sniper with your energy, calm, calculated, and precise. You stop wasting effort on what doesn't move you forward. The rest, let it burn. Let it fade. Let it go. Because the most dangerous person in any room isn't the loudest. It's the one who stays calm no matter what. They aren't rattled by storms they can't control. They're too focused on mastering what they can. If that's the mindset you're stepping into, make it real. Type it in. I protect my power. Let others chase noise. You're here for clarity, for control, for the win. Now, let's build something stronger. Number 7, building the inner fortress. Picture this for a moment. Not a castle of stone, not a tower of steel, but a fortress made of awareness, discipline, and unwavering thought. It stands firm, immovable in chaos. It doesn't crack under pressure, and it doesn't let just anyone stroll through its gates. Now here's the truth. That fortress should be your mind, but for most people, it isn't. Most people live not in a fortress, but in a glass house with no locks. Their thoughts exposed, their emotions unguarded, their energy scattered in every direction. They wake up, and before they've even taken a breath for themselves, their mind has already been hijacked by texts, news alerts, comments, and the noise of a world that never stops demanding attention. That's not living. That's leaking. And unless you build your inner fortress, unless you choose to guard your mind previously, we explored the concept of the inner fortress, your mind, as a stronghold, not a glass house. But what happens if you don't build it yourself? Well, someone or something else will. If you don't construct your inner fortress, the world will gladly do it for you, brick by brick. But their bricks are made of distraction, fear, doubt, and dependency. That's how you lose control without even realizing it. That's how you go from being reflective to becoming reactive. That's how you get played. But here's what separates the stoic from the scattered, the focused from the fractured. Self-focus. Self-focus is the construction crew of your mental fortress. It's how you dig the foundation. It's how you reinforce the walls. It's how you decide who and what gets access to your inner world. Every time you say no to a dopamine trap, you lay a brick. Every time you resist reacting impulsively, you seal a crack. Every time you sit in silence and confront your thoughts instead of fleeing from them, you strengthen your foundation. This isn't just about willpower, it's defense. It's not just a habit, it's strategy. The problem? Most people are never taught this. no teacher, no manager, no influencer is pulling you aside and saying, hey, protect your focus. Guard your attention like your life depends on it. But it does, because everything flows from the quality of your mind, your decisions, your habits, your relationships, your inner peace. If your mind is weak, your life will reflect that weakness in every direction. But if your mind is fortified, if your focus is sharp and intentional, then nothing, and I mean nothing, can shake you unless you allow it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't just write about it, they lived it. Marcus Aurelius wasn't just a philosopher. He was a Roman emperor. He governed an empire, faced war, betrayal, heartbreak, and yet he never once outsourced his peace. Why? Because his true fortress wasn't a palace, it was his mind. He journaled daily, reminding himself that the only thing that truly belonged to him was his inner world. The outer world was chaos, but his response, his focus, that was his weapon. That was his edge. Now, fast forward to today. Our empires are digital, our battles are psychological. And the enemy isn't just out there, it's in here. Doubt, fear, impulse, ego. If left unchecked, they don't just knock on the door, they move in. And without self-focus, these enemies multiply. They crowd your thoughts. They steal your clarity. They become squatters in your mind. That's why self-focus is the key. Because when you start choosing what you let in, when you filter your thoughts with intention, you begin to lead yourself. And once you learn to lead yourself, the world can no longer lead you astray. You stop chasing distractions that wear the mask of opportunity, and next, we'll explore how to sharpen that leadership by learning to control the one thing that rules us all, emotion. In the last section, we saw how reclaiming your mind means choosing what gets in and what stays out. That's the essence of self-leadership, guarding your inner fortress from chaos. But once you've built it, what happens next? You stop reacting to everything that doesn't serve your mission. You're no longer pulled into every argument, every trend, or every emotional spike. Why? Because your mind is no longer a revolving door for chaos. It's a stronghold for clarity, a sanctuary for purpose. But here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Building that fortress takes serious work. It's not a one-time decision, it's a daily battle. It means confronting the uncomfortable parts of yourself you've been avoiding. It means no longer blaming the world when the cracks are in your own walls. It means choosing silence when everyone else is shouting. It means staying still when your emotions scream for escape. It's not easy, but that's the price of freedom. And let's be clear, mental freedom is the highest form of power. Because when your inner world is steady, the outer world starts to lose its control over you. You'll begin to notice it. People trying to provoke you and failing. Distractions trying to seduce your attention and getting ignored. Pressure rising, and you? Calm, focused, grounded, not because you don't feel emotion, but because your emotions don't control you. That is stoic. That is strength. And yes, that's rare. But let's take it one level deeper, because there's a powerful system operating behind this clarity. Let's talk about your emotional gatekeepers. These are the mental guards you develop through awareness and repetition. They don't react, they evaluate. When a negative thought enters the gates, they ask, is this helpful? Is this true? Does this serve me or does it sabotage me? And if the answer is no, it doesn't get in. That's how you stop self-sabotage at the door. You become deliberate about every thought you entertain and ruthless about what you allow to take root. Having an inner fortress doesn't mean you withdraw from the world. It means you show up in it from a place of strength, not weakness. You're not avoiding life. You're mastering it. And when life throws punches, you don't fall apart. You adapt. You adjust. You endure. That's the difference between those who merely survive and those who lead. But make no mistake, you don't. Build this in a weekend. You don't build it by reading quotes. You build it brick by brick, moment by moment, by showing up daily, by meditating, journaling, guarding your time, saying no more than you say yes, challenging your thoughts, protecting your peace like it's sacred, because it is. And now it's time to go even deeper. Let's explore what happens when you truly begin to master your emotions. In the last part, we talked about protecting your inner fortress, guarding your peace and thoughts like sacred ground. Now, let's turn the mirror on ourselves. Ask yourself honestly, are you actively building your inner fortress or leaving the gates wide open? Are you reacting to every knock at the door, every notification, every opinion, every emotional trigger? Or are you standing at the top of your mental walls, watching with awareness, calmly deciding what gets in and what stays out? Because once you fully realize that your peace, your focus, your mind, they are all your responsibility, everything shifts. You stop waiting for someone else to rescue you. You stop blaming the world for stealing your attention. You become your own protector, your own strategist, your own commander. And when that happens, you don't just survive this world, you master it, if you're building your fortress right. Now, brick by brick, breath by breath, thought by thought, type it in and say it with conviction. I am my safe place. Say it like you're taking back your ground. Say it like you mean it. And remember, a focused mind is an armed mind, and a mind that's armed cannot be controlled. Number 8, daily practices to sharpen your focus. So far, we've covered the mindset, the philosophy, the why. But now it's time to talk about the how. Because let's face it, ideas are useless without execution. Self-focus isn't something that just magically appears one day. It's not motivation. It's not mood. It's training. It's consistency. It's something you build into your system day by day, action by action. The good news, you don't need 100 habits. You just need a few that actually hit hard, done with commitment. Let's get tactical. Here are daily practices that truly sharpen your focus. Start your day in silence before you touch your phone, before you reply to a single message, before you even speak. Be still. Just 10 minutes. Sit. Breathe. Let your thoughts surface without forcing them. Give your brain space to wake up without feeding it noise. Most people wake up and instantly surrender their focus to the world. But you're not most people. Practice thought auditing. All day, every day, be your own mental security guard. When your mind drifts toward anxiety, comparison, or distraction, pause. Ask yourself, is this useful? Is this mine? If the answer is no, delete it. Let it go. Train your brain to think on purpose, not by accident. Block time for deep work. Choose a 60 to 90-minute window every day. No distractions, no multitasking. One goal, one mission, This is how high-level focus is built, not by doing more, but by doing what matters better. It's not about hustle. It's about precision over chaos, quality over quantity. Journal like a... In the last section, we talked about daily practices to sharpen your focus, starting your day in silence, protecting your thoughts, and blocking time for deep work. But there's one more tool, simple yet powerful, that the Stoics used relentlessly. Journaling, but don't just write how you feel. Write like a strategist. Track your patterns, note your reactions. Ask yourself, what triggered you today? How did you respond? What could you have done better? The Stoics didn't use journaling to vent. They used it to evolve. It was their mirror, their battlefield report, their nightly recalibration. And the truth is, just 5 minutes a night doing this can teach you more about your mind than 5 hours of scrolling ever will. Now, here's a practice that might challenge you. Embrace boredom. Intentionally do nothing. No phone, no music, no stimulation. Take a walk with nothing in your hand. Sit in a quiet room and resist the urge to reach for a screen. Let your mind detox. Most people panic when boredom sets in because they've trained their brains to expect constant input, constant noise. But boredom is not the enemy. It's the gateway to clarity, to creativity, to self-control. Here's a bonus practice, one that can shift your entire mental environment. Curate your inputs, audit your feed, watch your conversations, choose your media wisely. If it drains you, distracts you, or clutters your mental space, cut it out. Your focus is currency. Don't waste it on mental junk food. These aren't random tips. These are mental reps. Each one adds a brick to your inner fortress. Each one reinforces control over your own mind. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep showing up, locked in, intentional, and dangerous in your focus. And look, if you've made it this far, you're clearly not someone who treats your mind casually. You're serious, you're building, you're leading. So, let's mark that moment. Drop a comment. I train my focus daily. Say it like you're declaring war on distraction. Because once you live like this, once focus becomes your way of life, distractions lose their grip. The world gets quieter, and your mind, it gets sharper, deadlier, unstoppable. Number 9, final empowerment. Self-focus is not a trend. It's not a motivational slogan. It's a superpower, not because it looks impressive, but because it works. It cuts through the noise. It sharpens your vision, and it gives you back the one thing this world is constantly trying to steal, your mind. When you master your mind, you don't just survive life, you command it. Always remember this: the world will pull you outward. But the real power, it's always inward. It lives in silence, in stillness, in the quiet discipline of choosing yourself every single day. You don't need more hype. You don't need more noise. You need more focus. And if you've stayed with this message to the end, you've already started sharpening it. So if something in this video hit home, if something inside you shifted, drop it now. My mind is my weapon. Say it like you're stepping into the next level of who you're meant to be. If you've made it this far, then it's clear you're not just casually listening. You're building your inner fortress. You're walking the Stoic path with purpose. And you're doing it with intention. You're not here to scroll mindlessly or chase trends. You're here to sharpen your mind, to train your focus, to become unshakable in a world that thrives on distraction. So, if this journey resonates with you, If every word has been a brick in your mental foundation, then you're in the right place. Like the video, subscribe, turn on notifications, so you never miss a drop of this mental armor. This isn't about fitting in. It's about locking in, because in a world that wants you reactive, you're choosing to stay focused. In a time when weakness is normalized, you're choosing to stay dangerous, calm, clear, and in control. This is just the beginning. Stay focused, stay disciplined, stay untouchable, because once you own your mind, nothing owns you.